Let's bring in now former Australian ambassador to Lebanon and Middle East expert Ian Parmeter. Ian, thank you as always for joining us. So I wanted to ask you, now that Iran has confirmed that the Supreme Leader has been killed, how soon might it be, do you think, before the world knows who his replacement is?
Well, in normal circumstances, it would probably be quite soon, because the Constitution of Iran says that a new Supreme Leader should be elected as soon as possible after the death of the previous Supreme Leader. What will complicate things this time is that the new Supreme Leader, when he, and it will be a he, is elected, will of course have a target on his back, and it well may be that they wanted to delay the election of the new Supreme Leader until the conflict at least winds down. I mean, I think it would have been quite a shock to the Iranian regime, particularly the security elements of it, that the Israelis and Americans were able to pinpoint exactly where Khamenei, the Supreme Leader, was, and to aim weapons at him that killed him. It shows if they could do that, they can strike anyone and anywhere in Iran. So it's but it could be quite soon if they decide just to elect someone, because Khamenei was made acting leader after the death of Khamenei in 1989 immediately, and then he was elected formally by the Assembly of Experts, which I can go into later if you wish, about 6 weeks later. So the aim is to abide by the Constitution and get a new Supreme Leader in place as soon as possible.
And in the meantime, Ian, who is running the regime, and can we assume they will follow Khamenei's policies?
Well, what we understand is there's a three-person council involving the president of the country, President Pezeshkian, also the Supreme Court Justice, and a member of something called the Guardians Council, which is a 12-member body which vets the Islamic credentials of all the holders for office. But it's a three-person council, probably reflecting the fact that Pezeshkian doesn't really have much chance as president of becoming Supreme Leader. But they're the ones at the moment who are running it. And in terms of your second question, I'd be very surprised if there were any change in the regime's policy, but very largely because I think it's the security elements of the regime which will be determining all this, and they are run by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, and they will be determined not to lose their privileges, their role in the country, which they would do if there were to be a major change in the outlook of the Islamic Republic.
President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu, they called on the Iranian people to rise up and take control of the government. Ian, what is the likelihood, in your opinion, of that happening?
Well, I think there are a few factors to consider here. One is that if there are missiles and bombs being dropped in many parts of Iran, not just Tehran, many people will be frightened to get out into the streets because of the dangers. But secondly, I think the people in Iran would bear in mind that they did take a big risk in January when they rose up in great numbers to revolt against the regime. But only to be essentially mowed down. And estimates we're getting now indicate that about 30,000 people were killed. Now that's quite considerable. So if you know when you go out into the street to demonstrate against the regime that you're going to have machine gun fire directed at you, which is what happened in January, you will probably think hard about it again. I think that it would be a far more likely offer, a sort of invitation to be taken up from President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu if there were American boots on the ground supporting them, but that's not likely to happen. We'll see. I mean, there's a lot to happen in Iran at the moment. The whole situation is very unstable, and if the people do get a sense that some major push could make a difference, well, it may work. But the big problem they've got is that they don't have the guns. The guns are held by the regime itself, and as far as we're aware, there isn't a separate opposition group within the country around which the opposition can coalesce. Nor do we think at this stage that the son of the former Shah, Reza Pahlavi, who was called, said he will go back if he thinks that it would assist and help to assist the establishment of an opposition. Whether he would make any difference is very hard to tell. One has to bear in mind that the population of Iran is perhaps an average age of 32. So most Iranians won't remember anything about the revolution itself, which was 47 years ago.
Ian, as always, we really appreciate your time and analysis. Thank you so much.